I'm back. Hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody. It's Friday. It is time for that shop update once again. Let's get cracking on it. Let's see what we can talk about this week. It's been a fairly productive week. We've got some news on the Land Rover Defender over here, the white one. A little bit of news on the Triumph. Some big news on the Jaguar. Some fairly big news on the Healey. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about the Lagonda, but there's not much to talk about on that one. Anyway, let's get to it. So let's walk over here to where the white Land Rover is. You'll notice it's a little bit dark in the shop, okay? We've been having a little bit of trouble here. The lighting in the shop here is fluorescent tube lighting. And pan up here, you can see that there's some of them that just aren't quite working as well as they used to. So we got to talking to one of our customers. Actually, it's the guy who owns the Jag. He has owned and still owns, I think, commercial buildings. And we were talking back and forth about it. And he said, contact the local electrical provider, the utility company, and they may have some kind of fancy program, which they do. And we're going to get started rolling on that. So hopefully here soon, sooner than what we thought, we're going to have some new lighting coming in here. So you're going to see this in more detail, and I don't know that that's a good thing. It's going to be better lit, that's for sure. Definitely not a good thing. But that's a good thing for the shop. So it's like working in a cave in here sometimes, especially when it's cold. Fluorescent tube lighting does not like cold. And when it's cold outside, it doesn't matter if you got a heater on in here. It's cold outside. Those lights do not want to come on. They are dark as all get out. So anyway, I apologize for it being a little bit too dark in here these days. We're going to fix that. On to the Land Rover Defender 90. Christian has been working on this thing. This week he's been doing his due diligence. Been working his keister off. On this one, he's got belts back on. He's got all the heater hoses done now. There were a few little ones that he had to snake through the engine bay and all that other stuff. So those are all finished. I was going to have him do the transmission stuff and things like that, but I think we're gonna do that next week, and we're probably going to do the brakes next week too. We've been waiting for the intake hose. I don't know. It's ordered. It's on its way. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but the old intake hose. This is the intake hose. The old one is a little bit, but she's a little crusty, guys. That doesn't work. So we're waiting on a new one. It's silicone. It's fancy, but it still hasn't come in yet. So we can't. I mean, it could rig something to make the thing start, but without this hose, it probably won't start. So, or it won't run very well anyway if it did start. So she's going to stay right here for now. We're going to do the brakes, do the transmission. Still got that to do. We also have a list going for the remaining parts that are needed to get this thing kind of sealed up. I think I mentioned it in the last video. Every window seal on this is kind of toast. So we'll be getting some new ones on order. The windshield here has a crack in it. There's a back window that it's broken, shattered. So we're getting some new glass. We're getting some new seals. She's gonna be a shining gem yet again. So that'll be good. He's busting on. There's gonna be more updates on that one next week because he's working on that one next week as well. Triumph didn't really touch the Triumph this week. That's gonna be next week. I'm gonna do more with that. He did send us an email with a picture of the car, or a picture, not that car, but a picture of a Triumph TR3 in the color that he likes. I'm happy about it. It looks like a good color for it. So we'll be picking out a finalized color here probably next week with him. We'll have him come in and we'll go through some sample colors and we'll see what he likes. We'll get something on order. We'll do a spray out panel, make sure that he's good with it. And then we'll order the color that we need to finalize the car. Again, this is getting some U-Pole Raptor put through it. She's going to be nice. It's a kind of a creamy yellow color. Not quite an old English white. It does have more yellow in it than that. Kind of a pale primrose. If you know your BMC colors, pale primrose. Maybe a little bit creamier than that. creamier. That sounds like a dirty word. But that's moving along. There will be actual physical updates on that one next week. We're going to skip the Heeley right now. Don't look. We're going to skip the Heeley right now. We're going to talk about the Jaguar real quick. She has, again, changed direction in the shop. She's now the other way. If you watched the last video, she was parked with the nose towards the door, and now she's parked with her butt towards the door. This goes out for its state inspection, safety inspection, on Monday. It'll also get a fresh set of tires for it on Monday as well. And then after that, it's just a cleaning. She goes home, guys. I buttoned up all the interior, all the dashboard's all buttoned up. She's happy. I'm happy. It's happy. And I think the owner will be happy. So all the dashboard's buttoned up, all the interior's buttoned up. We just need to do a thorough cleaning, put the top up, because nobody wants to drive it with the top down in this kind of cold. I've done that before, but I wouldn't recommend it. There's a story, and maybe we'll get to it one of these days, of Christian and I in an Austin 7 Ute from Australia, driving that in, I think it was 21-degree weather, with the windshield folded flat, no top. It was the dumbest decision we ever made, but also the best decision we ever made. We were laughing so much, but the tears in our eyes were freezing as we went down the road. It was terrible, but great. It's a good story. Man, terrible lighting. See, underneath that sheet is the Lagonda. I haven't done much with it. We've got a few parts that we're shipping out to rebuilders. We don't tend to contract out a lot of work unless I know for a fact that you are the best in your industry. And we've got two things that are going out. We have connecting rods for this, which we've had for a little while, but the machine shop hasn't actually needed them just yet. Those are ready to go out to get babbited bearings. That's where they pour. The bearings are a soft metal inside the engine. And a babbited bearing is physically, they pour liquid hot metal in the connecting rod into a form that's the connecting rod's in, and then they machine that soft metal. Modern cars use what's known as a shell type bearing, which you can install. You don't have to pour hot metal. They're just pre-made. You just clip them into place and you're done. So connecting rods will go out to the babbiter here soon. And then the other big one is the magnetos. This car runs 2 magnetos. A magneto is used in place of a distributor. Most of these cars use a distributor. Most of the cars you see in the shop here, besides the Mini back there and the Land Rover we just talked about, use a distributor system, which sends spark out through spark plug wires to each cylinder. That distributor gets its sparky from a thing called a coil. A magneto doesn't have a coil. A magneto physically spins and generates its own electrical spark and sends it out via distributor cap out to the wires. There's 2 of them on this car. Now this is a 6-cylinder car, but there are two magnetos, and it's not one magneto does 3 cylinders and the other magneto does 3 cylinders. It's one magneto does 6 cylinders. Amazon's trying to talk to me here. It's one magneto does 3 cylinder, or one magneto does 6 cylinders. The other magneto does 6 cylinders, and there's 12 spark plugs. So those of you who have, the modern day Chrysler Hemis with your, I got 2 spark plugs per cylinder. Yeah. 1930s, guys, 1930s. 2 spark plugs per cylinder, 1930s. Also, it's a hemispherical combustion chamber. So, sit on that for a minute, would you? It's cool, right? It's got a Hemi. But those are going to get shipped out here soon to the Magneto Rebuilder, which is a guy in Pennsylvania, and all he does is rebuild magnetos. He even does them for the guys over in Europe. And yeah, if you're the top guy, I'm going to send you the stuff. There you go. You do it. Because it's going to be good. So, I skipped over the Austin Healey, and I was kind of leery about talking about this one because got a little bit of a problem with it. Okay, a little bit of a problem with it. As you see on this side, I've got this beautiful finisher trim in. This fills the seam gap. It's stainless steel. It's very nice. I've got a tail light on this side. I started buttoning up the back end of the car, getting the wiring run to the back. I'm getting the gas tank as they cleaned out the inside here really, really good of all the body shop dust and junk that comes from, being in a body shop for days on end. I started getting all that squared away. I got that piece of trim in on that fender, and then I went to this one over here, and I ran into some problems. I ran into some issues. The fender wouldn't separate from the car. Okay, so I came to find out that there was body filler bridging the gap between the fender and the shroud. Now that sounds horrible, but it was just a little bit of it. Okay, an honest mistake. So I go to kind of file and kind of saw that filler, so I'm not pulling on it, because if I pull on it, it'll break, and if it breaks, it usually will take a chunk of paint with it, and I don't want that. So I start filing. And I'm looking, and I'm getting the fender worked away from the car so I can get the piece of trim down in and put it on, and then I notice, this is a different color, because this right here is bare aluminum. It should be green. Okay, that's not good. Why is that not green? And so I look on the inside of the fender, and I notice that it's also not green. In fact, some of it's still bare metal. Not to fret. We checked our sources. We checked out who the shop was that was going to paint this before we had it painted. They're a very respectable business. They're kind of blown up in town. They got all the bells and whistles, a huge building, super fancy paint booth, all that stuff. They got it. So I called up the owner, said, "Hey, got a problem." He said, "Oh, that's not good." I said, "No, it's not good. Because we did talk about painting the undersides of these panels, and you didn't paint the underside of the panel. This is a problem." He said, "Yep, we'll take care of it." So next week, he's going to swing by, and I'm going to take the other fender off too. He'll swing by, he'll pick up the rear fenders. He's going to check out some of the other stuff that I found that isn't quite up to snuff, and take care of it. Problem resolved. Stuff happens. That's why I was hesitant to talk about it. I'm not trying to put that other shop. I haven't named that other shop. I haven't told you who it is. I'm not trying to put them on notice. I'm not trying to blast them. I'm not trying to be a jerk to them. I've been on the receiving end of that in my career, and in all honesty, it's really unfair most of the time. This is something, it's easy. Hey, rectify it. Take care of it for us now. I'm glad I caught it. Take care of it for me, and we're good. If he'd have said, that's not my problem, I'd be name dropping, okay? I'd be name dropping. But he's taking care of it. It's not a big deal. I'm glad that I caught it. I'm a little bit worried that his guys didn't catch it, because they do the same thing we do. They restore classic cars, classic European cars, British cars predominantly, and your guys didn't catch it. Maybe I don't know the reasonings behind it. I don't know why it didn't get caught, but I'm glad I caught it. And the reason why I'm making sure of this is, number one, we always make sure that the cars are done to the best abilities that we have available to us. And we are always growing and learning here. So, we may do a restoration, and then 10 years later, we may be able to do that restoration even better than we did the first time, because we're always trying to get better and better and better at our job, as you should always do if this is something that you're passionate about. So I'm good with that. But the big thing is that this car is kind of on a time crunch, and we need to get it done as quickly as we possibly can. The owner of this car, a very, very lovely lady, has come down with some pretty major medical issues. And so I'm not going to go into what those are, but let's just be honest here. The lady wants to drive her car, and she wants to do it before she can't. So let's get it rolling. Shall we? Let's get it working on it. And so I was a little bit let down the fact that the car was over there for 3-4 months, something like that, maybe 3 months. And certainly faster than I would have gotten it done, but you're skipping steps to do it, and that bothers me. That bothers me a little bit. So we'll keep our eyes peeled if we see anything else. I think that the shop owner over there and the paint shop that we use, I think they'll take care of whatever we find. So there's no bad blood there. I'm not totally, totally pissed off about it or anything like that. It's just kind of a 1 step forward, 10 steps back kind of thing on a time crunch. Let's get it done. Stop putting roadblocks up. Just stop doing it. That's it, guys. I know this is a relatively short one this week, but that's it. There will be more updates next week, as there always are. There will be an update every Friday. If you have not liked and subscribed this video or our account or any of the other videos, then go do it. Go watch the other ones. They're just as entertaining as this one. Take that for what it is, and then, follow along. Hopefully next week, we've already started rolling in with these plans. Hopefully next week, these videos are going to be a little bit more professional than they are right now, of me just walking around talking. We'll get a little bit better with it. So that is it for now. I will see you all again next Friday. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I hope you have a lovely week. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, if you would, please. And I will see you next week. Bye.